Welcome to your new journey of an entrepreneur, hosted by myself, Joyce Van Setters, and my friend Pete Moriello. With over 20 years of experience, we will be exploring this world of innovators, providing insights and advice to aspiring and current entrepreneurs. We'll share stories of success, failures, and all of the lessons we learned along the way. Get ready to break out of your comfort zone, but on the other side of this, you will be forever free.
Welcome to the Forever Free Space podcast. I am your host, Joyce Van Setters.
I am Pete Moriello.
And together we created this space for aspiring and current entrepreneurs to get as much information as possible from thought leaders in their area. I am very excited today because we have one of those thought leaders on the show today, 8 times CrossFit athlete, Lauren Fisher. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Lauren, I am super excited to have you on the show. Anyone who knows me knows I'm very into CrossFit, and I have followed your career since you were 16, 17 years old. You don't know this, but the first show that I saw from you, I think it was a YouTube video of A Day in a Life of Lauren Fisher. This was years ago, and it just showed you were in, did you go to San Diego State?
Yeah,
I remember
to San
correctly.
Diego State.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you in this video, she was so disciplined. This is a college girl who was doing CrossFit, and instead of being out like partying and going to whatever goes on in college, I don't know anymore, but she was literally showing up at gyms like 5 o'clock in the morning, 7 in the morning on weekends. And being so super disciplined that I was blown away. And I remember I went into my CrossFit gym and I'm like, does anybody know this girl, Lauren Fisher? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, you guys need to know this girl. And since then, that I don't remember how long ago that is. I think are you in your 30s now?
I just turned 30. That video, I think, was back in 2014, so
Yeah.
I think I was 20.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday, by the way. I think we have the same birthday. I'm February 2nd.
I'm February 1st.
Okay.
Oh,
All
wow.
right. I know
What are
we were
you?
similar.
Damn.
Yeah. February 2nd.
What are you?
February 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah.
February is a good birthday.
It is Aquarius. But I
Yeah.
watched that video and I was in awe of how disciplined you were. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, growing up with 3 older brothers and just the way my dad kind of mentored us, growing up, I feel like I always just kind of had good role models to look up to with discipline. I mean, my dad, for example, he would get up at 3 a.m. in the morning to go to work in San Francisco in the Bay Area. He had his own construction business and he'd be home by 12, but he did that pretty much every day of his life. So I think growing up, I just naturally saw my dad being so disciplined. So then I guess that I just naturally became that way as well. So in college, training for the CrossFit Games, I was still like in my early days of CrossFit, but I wanted to get better. I wanted to, show that I could actually be one of the best athletes in the world. And I mean, you can't get anything in life without hard work and discipline. And so you could either sleep in and snooze your alarm, but I had to get up to be at the 7 a.m. training sessions on Saturday, even if I maybe was out late the night before because I was a freshman in college.
Yeah.
But I honestly didn't choose to go to many parties just because I was training CrossFit.
Wow. But to have that mindset that young, I mean, it's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's just amazing to me. I guess that's why I was so gravitated towards it. But again, I followed your career since then. Did you start in CrossFit on team? I think you started on team, right? On Invictus?
Yeah, so my first year at the CrossFit Games was back in 2013, which
Right.
feels like a long time ago. And I used that year to do team and get experience at the CrossFit Games. And then the following year in 2014 was when I decided to go individual, and I qualified for my first individual CrossFit Games, and I placed 9th overall in the world. So
Wow.
it was 9th fittest woman on earth.
And how did that feel after all the hard
That-
work you put in?
That felt pretty amazing, and honestly, I remember crossing the line knowing I had made it to the CrossFit Games that year, and it felt like you're going to Disneyland or something. It felt amazing. Yeah, and then I just put no pressure and no expectations on myself going into the games, and I just had fun with it and surprised myself and took 9th, and I was literally, on a high after that year.
Wow. Before that, what made you want to get into CrossFit? I mean, I know you said you have 3 brothers, but were you just always an athlete?
I was always an athlete, so I mean, growing up with three older brothers, I try new sports. You're so competitive. So, I mean, growing up, I did swimming, softball, basketball, volleyball, tennis. I tried it all, kind of figured out what sports I liked best, and I kind of gravitated towards basketball, and my goal was to be a WNBA basketball player, so I wanted to play in college. Yeah, was a shooting guard. I don't have the same height, obviously needed to be one of the best basketball players. I wasn't, gifted that genetically. But yeah, I love basketball.
I bet you have the strength, though.
The strength, and I have a good shot, too.
Nice.
So, yeah, I can shoot. But, yeah, I wanted to go on to play in the WNBA, play in college. So, my brothers were like, hey, we found this program called CrossFit. We're going to go do this CrossFit program. So I was like, really? I was like, who's training you? And they're like, Vince Carter. And I was like, Vince Carter, the basketball player. And I was like so naive thinking it was Vince Carter, the basketball player. It was definitely not Vince Carter, the basketball player. But
I was just about to say, Vince Carter does CrossFit? What?
Yeah, well, there is a Vince Carter that does CrossFit,
okay.
Yes.
Right.
So I went and did my first CrossFit session, and I was immediately hooked. I was the only girl. It was a lot of football players doing it after school. And I obviously was so competitive with my brothers. So it's fun to compete against these football players doing different CrossFit workouts. So yeah, I would use that as my extra strength and conditioning program and just kind of got hooked with it.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's great, yeah.
And when you went in, did you have the idea of, after you won 9th place, that you were going to win the CrossFit Games after that? Or you just kind of went I'm just going to compete to the next time?
Yeah. In 2014, when I placed 9th, my goal the following year was to make it on the podium at the CrossFit Games. But I mean, I was so young. You have all these expectations and pressures going into that season. And I actually ended up spraining my ankle really bad on a rope climb about a week and a half before the regionals, before we had to compete for the qualifying process for the CrossFit Games.
Oh, wow.
And I was completely out of it, not able to do anything because my ankle was so swollen. Mm-hmm. And I ended up not qualifying that year for the CrossFit Games, and that was obviously a super letdown, obviously, after taking 9th place. But then I ended up still competing at that CrossFit Games because one of the girls on Team Invictus had torn something in her knee, which obviously was very unfortunate. But then my coach, CJ, at the time, asked if I wanted to come on the team, so I went to do the team that year at the CrossFit Games.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. I have to look back in my files of stalking you. And then the next year you competed single again?
And then the following year was 2016. And yeah, I went back as an individual, obviously super motivated after the following year not qualifying. And I ended up placing first at the CrossFit or the California Regionals that year.
Nice.
So qualified for my second individual CrossFit Games. But then I ended up going into that CrossFit Games. I ended up finding out that I had torn my peroneal brevis tendon in my ankle.
Oh, wow.
So I was not able to run or do sled sprints or any of that. So after that CrossFit Games, I had to get surgery in my ankle.
Okay, I do remember that. And then after that, how did you stay motivated to keep going?
I think a lot of people ask me how I stay motivated to keep going, and I feel like every year there's constantly been something that's driven me to keep going.
Yeah.
And I mean, after my ankle surgery in 2016, and I also felt like the fittest and best I've ever felt at that regionals, I really wanted to prove to myself that I can make it back to the games after that injury. And so that was kind of my driving factor in 2017. And then in 2017, I didn't place very well at the games. So obviously every year I feel like I have more to give. I have more to prove, especially to myself. I wouldn't keep doing it if I wasn't feeling like I was getting better. But obviously everyone around me was also getting better. Right. So the field just keeps getting more and more competitive. So that's kind of what continually drove me. And then in 2019 was actually when I shifted to do team again at the CrossFit Games with my husband, Rasmus, and two others, Tommy and Reagan. And we ended up placing third that year with the super teams at the CrossFit Games.
Wow.
And then we have 2020 hit with COVID. So there's constantly, I feel like, been something that, every year there's something different. Yeah.
Talk to us about Grown Strong, because Lauren is the owner of a company called Grown Strong, which is super positive for young girls, letting them know. Well, I'll let her talk to you about it, but from when I look at it, it's like letting young girls know that it's okay to look strong, it's okay to lift weights. Talk to us about Grown Strong.
Yeah, so I have Grown Strong, which is an online fitness community for women. And it all started just the way I grew up. I mean, I was actually in high school, I was made fun of. I was bullied for doing CrossFit. A lot of the guys said I had too big of shoulders. I was bulky. I was
They were
too
just
muscular.
scared of you, by the way.
And they
Intimidated.
made fun of me, and it just like was not a fun way to like grow up in high school, and I never want anyone else to feel that way. And so for me, I feel like my whole life I've constantly had to go against obstacles, fight against challenges, and so that's where the two words "grown strong" hold a ton of meaning to
I
me,
love that.
and why I created it, because I feel like grown strong can carry different meaning for anyone. Maybe it's someone who's dealing with an eating disorder, or maybe someone's going through deployment in the military. I feel like grown strong can carry different meaning to so many different women, and that's why I created it. And I feel like I just found so much strength in the gym that like it carried over to outside of the gym, like not just being like physically strong, but mentally and emotionally strong. And so that's my goal with Grown Strong, is to be able to, have this fitness program, have this community that is behind you no matter what, supporting you through like all your struggles, through all your successes, like through it all. And that's where Grown Strong came from.
I love it.
That's great. Because the misconception, I think, for a lot of women, right? They're like, I don't want to lift weights. I'm going to get too big.
I'm gonna get bulky.
Right? I fear that like a million times. So that's pretty cool.
And where are you going with the company? Is it just an online community, or do you have your own gym?
So it's an online fitness community. We offer 5 different programs based off time and equipment. So no matter where you are in the world, you can sign up for the program.
Oh, okay.
We are actually in the process of finally coming out with our own app, which has been like a 2-year process. So I'm really hoping that will be launched very soon. And then, people find their daily workouts, and then we offer our community on Facebook. So a lot of the girls, they post in there like their lifts or any questions they have about workouts and all of that. And so when you sign up, you get access to the fitness program, daily video demos, like a daily video brief explaining how to attack the workout, modifications, and then the Facebook community where you can basically, we're all there to support you and help you on your journey in fitness.
That's amazing. And where can people find that? At grownstrong.com?
Yeah, they can find it at grownstrong.com. I would love to offer a discount for anyone listening, so we'll figure out something and maybe we'll add it into the show notes.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I want to talk about the super team you were on, and you may think of you're talking another team, but I'm talking about Annie Thors' daughter's team, because that was when it was like I was like all in. I mean, I couldn't even believe that team you guys had together. How did that feel, getting on that team, and how did that even come about?
Yeah, so Annie had actually sent me an Instagram message probably around Thanksgiving and asked if I wanted to do team for the CrossFit Games, and I was like, did Annie Thors' daughter, like 2-time fittest woman,
right,
asking me to do team on the CrossFit Games via an Instagram message? And I was like, hey, Annie, we need to actually like hop on a call if you're serious about this. And she's like, I am serious about this. So we hopped on a call, and I was like, this is a dream opportunity to go to Iceland to train with one of the fittest women on earth, Annie, and to learn from her and be on her team with her. I thought it was just like such an opportunity I couldn't turn down. And so it was going to be me and Annie, and we didn't have the 2 guys on the team yet. So we were like, all right, who do we think would really help balance out the rest of the team? And then that's when we ended up bringing Tola and Conan. And yeah, it was a really fun experience. Obviously, it didn't end the way we wanted it to end that year, because I ended up getting injured right before the CrossFit Games. I ended up like feeling something snap in like my tricep lat, and I wasn't able to do a lot of pulling movements and anything upper body leading into that CrossFit Games like the 2 weeks prior. And so obviously not the ideal way to end the season, taking 4th, but overall I had such a fun experience like with that team. Like it was really fun.
How is that different from? I remember I think the team that I most remember you from, it was, I want to say, Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, Josh Bridges, and Dan Bailey.
That was all the way back when they had the team series, the CrossFit team series. Yeah, that was so much fun.
That was sick. I remember it was like a YouTube series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys had the best vibe then. Weren't you really young then?
Yeah, I was only like 19.
Not that you're not young now, girl.
Yeah,
but,
I think I was only 19 years old back then, and Camille, I think she's 5 years older than me or whatever, and then Josh and Dan. But yeah, that was so much fun. It was like Rogue Red versus Rogue Black.
Yes, that's what it was.
Those are like the old school CrossFit days. Like, I wish they'd bring back the team series.
Those are the best YouTube videos ever. Like, I'm pretty sure I watched those like 100 times.
Yeah, they were.
They really are. So in your area where you are, do you have a community of young girls that you mentor or that follow you? Because I feel like you're such a strong presence for young women.
I think I have a lot of like women following me through like my Instagram platform, like through Lauren Fisher, and then obviously through Grown Strong Instagram. We put out a lot of content empowering and motivating young women. I actually just spoke at an all-girls Catholic school recently where I was able to share more about my story to the high school girls there here in San Diego, and that was like a lot of fun. And actually something I want to do more of is like more public speaking and just sharing my story about it's okay to lift weights, sharing like my CrossFit journey, and just sharing more about that.
That's awesome. You would be amazing at public speaking. You are in the midst of your CrossFit Games now, right? Or training for CrossFit Games?
Yeah, so in the midst of training for another year for the CrossFit Games, I'm back at CrossFit Invictus, and I'm doing a team with
where it all
Invictus
started.
There. Yeah, back where it all started, and I'm actually on the same team. Well, so the team that won the whole CrossFit Games last year, CrossFit Invictus, I'm on the top team with one of the guys, Josh Alchama, and then Chandler Smith has joined our team.
Chandler Smith is on your team?
Yeah.
That's my favorite male in CrossFit.
Chandler took 7th place in the CrossFit Games last year, so obviously he's a very strong athlete. And then we actually have his wife, Jessie Smith, who's on the team as well.
Wow. Oh, what a good team.
Yeah.
Wow. And CrossFit Games are August this year?
Beginning of August in Texas.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. I'm excited to see you guys.
Thank you. It'll be fun.
I bet. And you guys are training, like, how is your training schedule? Are you like, do you have time for anything else going on in your life?
It's been really hard and demanding. I think it's funny because when I had said yes to doing team with Chandler, he was like, oh, it's going to be more relaxed than doing individual, all of that. No, it's not the case at all. I show up at the gym at 8:30. If I'm like 2 minutes late, the boys get mad at me. But I'm in the gym from like 8:30 to 11:30 in the morning. And then I'll
Don't
go
ever
back
believe anything from anybody from the military telling you that it's going to be relaxed, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm coming to learn that.
Yeah, that's a different definition.
Yeah. And then, go back to the gym around 1:45, and I feel like I'm in the gym until 4:30. So that's Monday through Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday. And then Thursday is more of like an active recovery day. So we usually do something from like 8 to 9:30 in the morning, and then I go and get body work and cold plunge and sauna on my Thursdays. And then Sunday is like a full rest day because I need it to get ready for the rest of the week.
Do you do any other workouts besides CrossFit?
Well, when we're in, like, the gym, we're not just doing, like, CrossFit workouts. So, for example, we might end up coming into the gym and we'll do strength work, we'll back squat, we'll snatch, and then maybe we'll hit a CrossFit workout, and then we'll finish with accessory work. So, I like to call accessory similar to, like, bodybuilding. So, you do, like, like push-pull supersets, maybe, like, strict pull-ups, dumbbell rows, just all those accessory movements that are really going to benefit your lifts and help you stay injury-free. Yeah. And then maybe in the afternoon, we'll come in and do bike sprints, and then we'll finish off with, like, some, like, zone 2 cardio on the ski erg row, and then we're doing, like, sandbag carries. We're pretty much training to be ready for anything and everything that can come out at the CrossFit Games. And Chandler keeps saying, like, if we can, train really hard and be the fittest team, there's no reason why we shouldn't win the CrossFit Games.
He's right.
That's true.
I'm sorry, he's right. If I remember correctly, is your brother Garrett Fisher?
Yeah, so my brother's Garrett.
He was CrossFitter as well?
Yeah, so he competed back in 2013, took 5th place at the CrossFit Games as an individual, and he's been to the CrossFit Games a couple times as an individual. He was like one of the strongest guys in CrossFit when he was competing.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, when Rick Ross lost all that weight, wasn't Garrett his trainer?
Yeah, so my brother was Rick Ross's trainer.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my God, I just popped in my head. I was like, why do I remember him training Rick Ross?
Yeah. I actually went and
That's pretty
trained
cool.
Rick Ross with my brother
Oh, you
one of
did?
the days. Yeah, so I went and met Rick Ross and his homies or friends or whatever you want to call them.
His
yeah,
boys?
His boys. Yeah, his boys.
How was that?
It was a different experience. He was like smoking weed mid back squat sets.
Was he
Yeah.
eating wings?
No, but I'm pretty sure he probably ordered some wings right after the training session.
Definitely. I remember on Twitter, somebody said, "You just lost all that weight to him. Why are you still eating wings?" Because he was put in there. And that's when he promoted your brother, Garrett.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know Garrett did not tell him to eat them wings.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is a very cool story.
Yeah.
I can't believe that just popped in. You know what? You and your brother kind of look alike. I think you look like all of your family. You guys look alike, but you kind of look alike. That's why that just popped in my head.
Yeah, I think Garrett and I probably look the closest out of like me and my other three brothers.
Okay. Are your other three brothers in CrossFit as well, or no?
The oldest brother, he's done a little bit of CrossFit, but
okay.
not like Garrett competing, but
Okay.
he's like super into like running, biking, and swimming. And right now, I think he's really into yoga. And then my brother Ryan, the second oldest, he actually played professional baseball for the Miami Marlins.
Oh, wow.
He made it all the way up to AA.
Athletic
and so-
family.
Yeah.
yeah, and then Garrett obviously competed in the CrossFit Games,
That is
You're the
amazing.
youngest. You
and I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Of course, the girl's the youngest. So what's next for you, Lauren, besides the upcoming games?
Yeah, so obviously getting ready for the CrossFit Games this season. And then after that, I actually have 5 fitness retreats coming up. So we actually do those
wow.
through Grown Strong as well. They're called Grown Strong Retreats. And it's basically a week of traveling, fitness, good food, and meeting like-minded people. Like, this is an opportunity where it's fun to have some of the Grown Strong community join these retreats, or they're open to anyone, but we meet people from all over the world. They travel to come for like a week-long vacation. And Rasmus and I, my husband, we love traveling, and obviously we love meeting new people. So it's just, for us, like, these are so much fun. So actually, right after the CrossFit Games, we're headed to Denmark for our first fitness retreat.
Oh, wow.
There, and then we're gonna do one in Bali, one in Nicaragua, and then we're going to Thailand and Cape Town.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
We'll also link a special discount for that in the show notes if anyone wants to join one of
absolutely.
the retreats.
Absolutely. And your husband, Rasmus, he doesn't compete anymore, correct?
No, he doesn't compete because he's too busy like running our business like behind the scenes.
That
It's
makes
like there's
sense.
no way we can do both. And I think for us, obviously we know I can't compete forever. And
Right.
so for me, like when I'm done competing, I'm really excited to shift more towards like focusing on Grown Strong, like the online community for women, and also on the fitness retreats, and just kind of diving more into the business side of things.
I love that. I love that. And in these retreats, I just wanted to, are these just for fitness people? This is just a fitness retreat?
It is a fitness retreat. Like, there is going to be fitness, but you don't have to have like any background in fitness
Okay.
or CrossFit. Like, you
Okay.
don't have to be intimidated coming on these. I think for us, like, we've had someone come on our retreat who didn't even join any of the workouts. He actually skipped all the workouts and he was drinking beers by the pool. And his wife was doing all of the workouts. So like, you should, like, it's optional to do the workouts. Obviously makes up a large part of it and is a lot of fun. I think for us, like, when we travel, we like to work out in the morning because then it makes us feel
Of
good about
course,
all the
yeah.
food we're going to be eating throughout the day
Right.
and like all the activities. It just makes you feel better. So
Yeah.
that's why, like, that's what the whole like workout aspect of is on our fitness retreats, is like more having fun and feeling good.
I love that. That's amazing. How do you pick the place?
So we picked the places based off where we would want to travel and maybe somewhere we've never been. For example, Rasmus has never been to Thailand. I've been to Thailand. So he's like really excited about that. But I'm like most excited for our trip to Denmark because obviously Rasmus is from
there,
Denmark. So like we have a lot of local things planned and things you wouldn't, like if you were traveling there by yourself, I don't think you necessarily would see if you weren't coming on a
Right.
retreat.
Right.
And also too, his family's going to be hosting like a traditional like Danish backyard party on the final night for everyone.
Oh,
So we'll play
nice.
games, eat good food, and like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
Sounds great.
I wanted to talk to you about mental health in CrossFit. I mean, I know it's always been there, but I think it's more pronounced now that we have, a couple of the athletes that have backed out of the CrossFit Games because of mental health. What's your opinion on that? Not even your opinion on the athletes, but your opinion on mental health in CrossFit.
I think it's just really hard. A lot of those athletes who are, dropping out due to, just the pressure and obviously prioritizing their mental health is because they're so young.
Yeah.
And I just don't really think there's any mentorship out there to kind of share with them, like, hey, it's okay, like, if you don't, PR every day in the gym, or it's okay if, like, you take a day or two away from the gym. I think they just constantly feel like they need to be, on it, especially when they're training, when they're competing, and for that can be mentally draining. Like, if you don't ever have, like, a break, or if you don't, for example, for me, Saturdays are my cheat days. Like, I love having, like, ice cream or pizza or burger or any of that.
Yeah.
And that's, like, my day where I get to eat, like, all the food. And if someone's not taking those days for, like, just kind of a reset, then, I mean, you're going to get burnt out. And I think right now, like, so many of these young girls just don't really have, like, that person who's guiding them to say it's okay to, take a little bit of break. But it is really cool to see that they are prioritizing their mental health.
Absolutely.
And, taking a season off so they can actually kind of get things dialed in and come back, I think, even stronger from it.
Absolutely. I feel like when we're watching, I mean, I know for myself, when we're watching the games, I come from a fitness background. I'm actually a fitness professional as well. But I know when I'm watching the games, you come from a place of, you just see these athletes and we don't look at them as people. It's just like we just look at them as these super athletes, and now why are they backing out of the games? How could they have mental problems? Like, that's ridiculous, and they're humans, and especially when they're young girls. And I know you competed at a very young age, and did you have mentors to help you?
I did. I had a few people who I was training with that really guided me in my early CrossFit career that I'm really thankful that I was surrounded by. And I also think just with my family and with my parents, the way they raised me, I feel like it really helped. If I had those hard days, I could talk with my parents about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the people you surround yourself by can really help lift you up.
That's amazing. And Lauren, I know that you recently lost your mother, and I know that you guys were really close, and I wanted to say my condolences on that. I know that you also competed right around when that was happening, and I watched you pour your heart out in that video of you competing, and I don't know what was going through your mind, but you gave me such chills, and I was just like, she's just remained so fucking strong. Like, I don't know how you do it, but you just are one strong, badass chick.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom was my best friend and was one of the hardest things that I had to go through.
She was so beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. She was, and her personality was probably would make anyone smile in a room. Like, my mom could light up a room just based off her personality. And so seeing her battle cancer for 2 years is one of the hardest things that anyone can ever go through. You never want to see someone you love struggling and have no energy and just not feeling like themselves. And I constantly just try to lift my mom up every day, and I did so much research on how we can actually cure this cancer, how we can fix it. And I feel like we did absolutely everything, but I think you just never know when it's God's plan, what he hasn't planned for you. And so my mom, now I know she's in heaven, no longer struggling, and she's at peace, and she's probably one of the best guardian angels I've gained. And when I was debating whether or not to compete in Rogue Invitational, which was literally 2 weeks after my mom's passing, I asked my dad what I should do, and he was like, your mom would want you to compete. My mom was my biggest supporter. One of my favorite photos is my mom screaming of me crossing the finish line during one of these workouts, and you just see my mom so excited. But I actually, in that workout, I took last in the heat, but my mom was just so happy because I had told her right before the workout, I'm really nervous about this one. I don't think I'm gonna make it before the time cap. And I ended up making it 10 seconds before the time cap. It was actually, the workout was called Linda, and my mom's name is Linda. So it was at the semifinals this past year, and my mom was just so excited seeing me cross the finish line. But yeah, when I was competing at Rogue Invitational, I felt so calm, at peace, because I don't know, I felt my mom was there with me, even on the first event, when we were doing our ruck run, it was getting so hard, and I was just, asking my mom for strength, to give me strength during it. I could just, feel her, and that whole weekend I could just feel her presence, and I just wanted to make her so proud.
I love it. And I remember she was always your biggest cheerleader, no matter where on the screen, on TV. I remember watching on ESPN, no matter where you would look, you'd see this little lady in the audience just cheering you on. I love it. I love it.
I remember one time, I think, like, at the regionals, my mom literally, like, she tapped someone on the shoulder. She didn't know it was Dave Castro. She was like, "Excuse me, can you move? My daughter's about to go." And Dave Castro, like, turns around and looks at my mom.
Do you know who I am?
And my mom was like, "My daughter's about to compete. Can you please move?" And she didn't even realize it.
I know.
was like,
oh my
when she
God.
saw,
He's
like,
like, I
Dave
know. I
Castro.
invited her to the games, man.
Yeah.
That's a
That was
great
funny.
story.
Yeah.
Lauren, we like to have, every time we have a guest here, we like to have them, whoever the next guest is going to be, you don't know, we don't know. We like to have them, give them a gem. Anything entrepreneurial? I know you got some good ones, girl.
Any entrepreneurial gems, I think just follow your heart and trust your intuition. I think a lot of people are scared to try new things. And for example, you might be wanting to like open up your own business, but you're too scared to quit your job. I think you need to trust your heart that everything is going to work out in the end and just like go for it.
I love that.
That's great.
I love that. I've been following your career so long that I honestly felt like this was a conversation with a friend. So again, I want to thank.
It's been long overdue.
Long overdue, right? But I'm glad we made it happen.
Yeah.
And I apologize for flooding you with emails, but
No, thank you
I was
for
dying
keeping
to get
me
you in.
accountable.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I do. They don't answer after 5, I send 10. But again, I wanted to say thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I know that it's hectic with you getting ready for the CrossFit Games, so I honestly appreciate this from the bottom of my heart. I'm a big fan of yours, and what you said about Annie, you know, DMing you, that's the way I felt when you responded to my DM. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Great. And we want to tell everybody that we are on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. And so if this is something that resonates with you, join our community. We promise the best is yet to come. And we're going to get those links for Lauren in the description. And you can check her out at grownstrong.com or lauren-fisher.com. Aren't you impressed that I knew that?
Wow, I'm very impressed.